Still some people joining us. Nonetheless, I'll just like to start welcoming you. Good afternoon and welcome to our webinar today, Delivering Intelligent Information to Enable the Digital Twin for Medium-Sized Enterprises. The webinar today is hosted by the iiRDS Consortium. My name is Susanne Lohmüller and I'm the project manager for iiRDS at TechCom. The iiRDS Consortium is funding a certain amount of iiRDS project each year, and today I'm very happy to be able to listen to one of the presentations, one of the projects that we actually funded this year that was realized over the course last year, this year. And in the following webinar, you get some insights into the implementation of iiRDS metadata model at Knick. Together with plusmeta, Knick has explored how iiRDS and AI can be used and optimized together to optimize the content delivery and enable the creation of the digital twin. So this is the focus of our webinar today. And before I hand over now to our expert speakers, Eva-Maria from plusmeta and Andreas Kamzol from Knick, here are just some brief pointers and general remarks about today's webinar. You probably all noticed you're muted by default. Nonetheless, we would like to encourage you to write your questions, to ask questions. Please write them in there's a chat question box in the webinar panel that you can use to ask your questions. Feel free to do so, and the speakers will then address the questions towards the end of the webinar. And if we can't run over time or don't get the chance to answer all the questions, you'll also get the contact details of the speakers so you can follow up with them as well. The webinar will be recorded and we will make the recording available on the iiRDS website and on our YouTube channel tomorrow. If everything works technically, it will be online and available tomorrow. So that's it from my side. I hope you enjoy the webinar, and Andreas, Eva, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Also from our side, a warm welcome to our webinar. And today we will describe or show you what we did in our pilot project for the iiRDS metadata. And we have a fully packed agenda. First, we will do a short introduction of ourselves and our companies. After that, I will talk a little bit about the challenges at Knick. I will describe a little bit the problems we were having and the objectives of our pilot project. After that, Eva will go into more detail how we approached our solution, why we choose iiRDS, and I think the most important part or most interesting part will be the AI-based classification of our content. And then we will conclude with the key findings from our approach. And after that, Eva will show some additional utilization of our results to really interesting examples. One will be a chatbot, and the other will be the creation of asset administration shells. And at the end of the webinar, we will give a short outlook and a conclusion of these projects with some recommendations if anyone who's listening is also planning to do such a project. As I said, we will start with a short introduction. And I will also start. I'm a technical writer at Knick, and I'm also the key user for our component content management system, and also involved in several digitalization projects within the company. The company is family-owned and was founded 75 years ago. It is based in Berlin, and currently we have around 300 employees. Most of them are developing and producing the products here in Berlin. And in general, we have two different product lines, interface technology and process analytics. As you can see, these products are for several different industries. And currently we have around 180 active products with a lot of variations. So our products are really adjustable and there are a lot of product variants. And we are producing our documentation in 8 languages. And we also have different information products, user manuals, installation guides, and safety manuals, and that's resulting in several hundreds documents per year. So that is our current situation. And I will now hand over to Eva to introduce plusmeta.
Yes, welcome from my side as well. Yeah, my name is Eva-Maria Wolf. I'm a consultant and project manager at plusmeta. And I'm a certified iiRDS consultant as well, and this was my role in the project here. So let me introduce plusmeta in short words. So we are 5 years in the market now, which is quite long for an AI company. And we produce a software that uses artificial intelligence to analyze technical documents and to find out what the information is about and to assign metadata. We are based in Karlsruhe. We have 16 employees, and since last year we are part of the Quanus Group. And during the last 5 years, we are very proud that already 35 customers use plusmeta in the European Union, USA, and Asia. The benefits of plusmeta are that it's cloud-based, it's a web application, or available as API as well. And we have 2 different approaches. You can either work with a human in the loop and check the results of the artificial intelligence, or if you know that all the AI stuff works perfectly, you can do full automation as well. There are direct interfaces to several systems. One I'd like to point out is the interface to Schema SD4, which is a component content management, and we have various interfaces to content delivery solutions to display the content afterwards. Okay, then I think we can dive into our project that we did together, and I will hand over to Andreas again.
Okay. As in this next section, I will describe a little bit our challenges and to try to explain what the problem was we were facing. Yes, I think the key problem we are still having is that our product information is currently limited to the PDF format. We use that as a due to legal requirements, and we publish all our product information in PDF format. But of course, that's lacking the prerequisites for digital distribution. We have right now we publish our documents over the website. And the good thing is that we already have implemented CCMS, in this case Schema SD4, and as Eva already mentioned, that's perfectly integrated into the plusmeta software. But in our CCMS, there's a lack of a robust metadata structure, and our content is not fully self-contained, topic-orientated. And for example, we don't follow standards like IDTA, and that makes us limited its usability and accessibility. And I think the next problem we are facing is that we don't have a dedicated content delivery solution. As I already mentioned, we publish our documents over our website, but it's really the only place where our global team and our customers can access this information, and that results in inefficiencies and outdated information because this PDF is never updated once downloaded. And we are also don't have a existing infrastructure to reliably and verifiable deliver our content. And that was actually one goal, to reduce the number of printed documents and to deliver our documentation electronically, and to meet all the legal requirements that's necessary to have a robust and reliable system. And that's currently missing. And The next digitalization project in our company, or a different project, is the delivering of asset administration shells. Right now we are already deliver our product information via asset administration shells, but inside the shells there are still PDF documents. And as you can imagine, that's a nice way to deliver this content, but it's still not really modular and usable. Yes, and that's where the key problems we identified, and that's why we started to look in different solutions and came up with this iiRDS consortium and also these projects. And we defined several objectives for our pilot project. As I already mentioned, we want to introduce a content delivery portal to reduce printing costs, make updates easier, available and faster, and also enhance the user experience, for example, with new media formats like video or 3D animations. And inside this portal, we wanted to enable faceted search, and we had the idea to start first internally with our internal customers, and then afterwards, of course, also to our external customers. And we wanted to use iiRDS not only as metadata standard, but also as a exchange format, as a delivery package. And we wanted to use these packages also for other systems, for internal applications to exchange data between these systems. For example, we were planning a learning management system and a service knowledge base. And once the content is assigned with iiRDS metadata, it would be much easier to exchange this information. And of course, we also wanted to demonstrate that even small companies are capable of meeting the customer requirements and support Industry 4.0 standards, because this theme of digitalization is also for small companies, of course, a topic. But as always, the reality is a little bit different. That's why we have to adjust our objectives a little bit. It was due to internal reorganizations and lack of resources from our side to meet, also to start this project. That's why we reduced a little bit the objectives. I think the most crucial part was to assess the suitability of iiRDS for our company. And at that time, I was also working on a digitalization strategy, and this project was perfect to test it with our data, with real-world examples, to learn something for our strategy. And we wanted to conduct a proof of concept of the plusmeta software. And from our side, the most interesting part was, of course, this automatic metadata assignment, because we already have a lot of content in our CCMS. And of course, we want to assign this metadata automatically to our content. And we also wanted to integrate e-class product master data into our iiRDS metadata to use it for other applications, and also wanted to have a look at the prerequisites for creating more variant-specific product information, because currently we are only have PDF documents for the whole product family and not very variant-specific. But of course, there were some things out of scope. For example, this direct interface between schema SD4 and plusmeta. We did an export-import that works fine, but we didn't implement this interface. And we only had a small sample data set from our content for this pilot project to just test it. And we didn't have the time to also extend the metadata model. We basically used the data that was available on Knick side and also what was available in the iiRDS standard. And the last point we unfortunately couldn't do was the implementation of iiRDS packages within the Asset Administration Shell. But Eva will show later in this webinar a solution. And so in a way, we also did that thing. Okay, that was just a brief overview of the project and of the objectives. And now Eva will go more deeply into iiRDS and the solution we developed.
Yes, so I'd like to start with the question, why is iiRDS a good choice for this project? So one thing is that iiRDS is a standard exchange format. As Andreas mentioned before, one requirement was to create an exchange format for several systems, so learning management system, content delivery portal, and so on. So various systems to deliver content to. And yeah, it's good to have a standard here, so you don't have to have several imports, so one import for each format. Another thing was that Knick wants to introduce several formats, so content types like PDF, HTML, and as well multimedia content. And iiRDS is very flexible and allows to transport several media formats. Knick already has metadata model in SD4, but it's focused on the author's view, and now they want to introduce content delivery and other scenarios of the use of the content, and so the metadata model needs to be extended, and iiRDS provides a metadata model. And this metadata model was developed by several companies with huge experience in content delivery. So with iiRDS, we have a proven metadata model as a basis for content delivery. So Knick, as a small company, don't have to invent the new. We can use what is already there and what was proven in other projects. There are some Knick specific requirements for the metadata model. That's no problem because iiRDS is flexible, it's extendable, and so we can introduce new classes that are important for Knick later. It was out of scope for the pilot project, but yeah, iiRDS supports that. And as Andreas mentioned before, the Asset Administration Shell was one requirement as well. And here iiRDS is a good basis as well, because there is a submodel for the administration shell to transport intelligent information, and this submodel is based on iiRDS. So if Knick introduces already the metadata model, it's easy to convert it to the asset administration shell. I will later show that in a demo. Okay, then we can continue with the overview of the project.
Yes, I will give a very brief overview. First, we analyzed the potential application of iiRDS metadata. As we already mentioned, we had a look what is the capabilities of iiRDS, what could be covered. And then we created a mapping between our Knick metadata. As Eva said, it's basically administrative metadata created by the CCMS, but also we have a product hierarchy inside our metadata. And we created a mapping between this Knick metadata and iiRDS. And after that, we developed the target metadata for Knick based on the standard. And then Eva set up the software, and for this automated metadata assignment process, she will show in the next slide more into detail this process. Basically, there were 2 rounds with a human in the loop approach. After the first round, we checked the content and reassigned several metadata, and then we did a second round. And after that, it was for us an important step because we generated the first iiRDS package with our content from our data. And as we already said, we identified the key insights for our strategy. That is just a brief overview of the project.
Okay, then we can dive a bit deeper into the AI-based classification. So I will start with a short overview and then I will show you in the system. in plusmeta. So we started with a publication from the CCMS. We had HTML files that contained the metadata that was set in the CCMS SD4. And we bring that into plusmeta, where we do an AI-based assignment of metadata. So the CCMS metadata will be extended with the iiRDS metadata like product variant, topic type, and information subject. Then we have the human in the loop check. So a human can check whether the AI assignments are correct or not, and correct them if they are not correct at the first time. And then in the next step, we can generate an iiRDS package. So I will show you very quick how that looks in the software. So I prepared a project here. It bases on the workflow enrich content automatically. In the first step, you can add content. I already put in the nodes here. So what we have as a basis are HTML files from SD4. We use HTML here because it's displayable in the most content delivery portals. And we can have a preview here in plusmeta as well. The content files are uploaded. There was a quick extraction of the metadata that is already there. And we have the text extracted as well. And the text is the basis for the extraction of metadata, which takes place in the next step. So here all the content files are analyzed and the metadata is set. This metadata heat map gives us an overview of metadata that is set. So for example, the language, the organization, product variant, information type, document type, and so on. Here the golden ones, the golden fields are read in from SD4 and the blue ones are assignments from the artificial intelligence. Then in the next step, we can check the results. So this is where the human in the loop can take place. And as human, we have a preview here on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side, we have the metadata that is extracted. So for example, if we check one example, we see here the beige and the blue color again, and we see that there is read in information from SD4 as well as AI assigned metadata. And here this product variant I set as a guideline at the beginning of the project. So we have different metadata, iiRDS metadata like product lifecycle phase, and so on. I will go on later. And the idea is now that you can check this information as a human in the loop. And to finish the process quickly, I approve all metadata without any further look. And then the last step is to generate an iiRDS package. So all the content will be packed in the iiRDS package now, and the metadata will be written into the RDF file, and then you can just download the iiRDS file. So I think what can be interesting for you now is to see what kind of artificial intelligence methods we used here. So there's not one artificial intelligence. There are several methods that we can use. That's not specific only for plusmeta. I think this is a general AI thing. There are several methods that you can use, starting with rule-based system, where it's you have a list of possible values and you search through the content, which are the perfect matching list values, as well as high performance large language models, where you have pre-trained models and you need a API to talk with them. So there are several options, and I'd like to show you now some that we use in the project with Knick. So here you see an overview about the metadata that we assigned. we have the basic metadata from SD4, like the title, the language, node class, and publication, as well as iiRDS specific information like the information subject, product life cycle phase, component. So yeah, these are this is metadata that you need to search in a content delivery portal and that are important to have as facet search, for example, in a content delivery portal to access the information very quickly. And we use several AI methods to assign those metadata, and I'd like to introduce you to the mapping, rule-based assignment, and the extractors now. So one approach is to use mapping. So we can, the basis of a mapping is a knowledge graph. So in a knowledge graph, you can store the relations between different data models, for example. So in this case, we have the document type, and in SD4, Knick assigns its own document type to the content files. So as an example, there is one Knick document type which is named TB Datenblatt. And in the knowledge graph, we now can store the information that this specific Knick document type relates to the iiRDS document type specification and to the VDI 2070 document category technical specification. So this knowledge we once save in the knowledge graph, and then we can use this information to set the metadata. So every time we identify a topic as valid for TB Datenblatt, we assign the other two values as well. And you insert that once and you never have to check that again because yeah, it's in the system and works 100% correct if you have this mapping. Another sample for the mapping is to use the node classes from SD4. So if you create a new content file or a new piece of content in SD4, you decide which node class it should have or what kind information class have. And some information class relate to specific categories in iiRDS. So for example, Knick has one specific node class which is named plan. And every time Knick uses this plan information class, you know that in iiRDS product lifecycle phase, that's the putting to use, operation, and the first setup of the project. The plan refers to the information subject technical overview, and it is the iiRDS topic type reference. So again, you can insert this knowledge once in the knowledge graph, and then you can use it every time. Unfortunately, there are other SD4 node classes where we can't do this mapping for all the three iiRDS information classes. It's just for a few information classes possible. So for example, if you have a task, then you can identify directly the iiRDS topic type, but yeah, the information subject and the product life cycle can be different. There are various options. So therefore, we would have only one mapping. And another example for the mapping is to introduce knowledge about the product to the knowledge graph. So for example, for this product variant of Knick, the P4100, the TRMS, there is knowledge in the knowledge graph that it's manufactured by Knick, and it relates to a specific E-class, which is a transformer here. And so once assigned in the knowledge graph, we can use it every time we identify this product. So this is the mapping, and then we have another method that we use, which is the rule-based system. So the rule-based system you can use if we don't have anything to map. So if there's no information in SD4, we can use to find the information. Then a rule-based system is the next step we can use. So for example, to identify the product lifecycle phases for content with unspecific node class, we can use this approach. And there we search through the content if there are specific keywords that match one label from the product lifecycle list. iiRDS provides a huge list of product life cycles, and so we can compare with the content. So in this case, this topic contains the keywords wartungsfrei, so maintenance free, and Instandsetzung, which belongs to repairs. And so it can identify that the two product life cycle phases, maintenance and repair, are valid here. The system not only takes into account the keywords, it also sees where the keywords are found and how the accuracy of the hit will be taken into account too. And then there is another method, which is the extractor. So it was important for Knick to get the basis for the Asset Administration Shell as well. And one thing that is important there can be the technical data. And with extractors, it's easy to find technical data in documents or in content pieces. Like you see here, you can use a dynamic extractor. It's based on pattern matching, and the pattern here is the name of the technical data that you want to find or indicators, and the unit it is usually measured in. So for example, here we have the weight, and weight usually is measured in gram, kilogram, or tons. So that's the information that is stored in the knowledge graph. And then we can go through the content and find the numbers that are in between and extract them as a value for the metadata. Yes, so this is a short introduction of 3 different methods that we use to assign the metadata automatically. And it was important for Knick to have automatic support in to introduce iiRDS. And so we did an evaluation at the end of the pilot project. So in the pilot project, we had one information product that contains 40 topics, and for each topic there were around 10 metadata values to assign, which means that we had total metadata of 428 metadata, and 80% of this metadata was set by the user or corrected by the user. 35% was read from SD4, and 74% were set by the artificial intelligence. So we had an automation rate of 72%. If Knick would have done this all manually, it would have taken around 550 minutes to follow or to fulfill this task. With this automation rate, there was a huge time saving possible. And with the learnings from the pilot project, we think that we can increase the automation rate to 87% and reduce to have a higher time saving rate as well. Okay, so I'd like to continue with some key findings that we had in the project. So as we said, we had a lot of basic information in SD4 that we could already use. But yeah, what we also found out in during the pilot phase is that not all topics in SD4 or what we find as a node in SD4 is not equivalent to a topic in each case. And so everywhere where we have not topic-oriented content, yeah, maybe it would be good to have a rewriting or a rework of the content, because sometimes then it's hard to give unambiguous iiRDS metadata to the content file. So especially for new created information, we would recommend to implement a topic-oriented structured approach to differentiate between topic types based on data, like distinguish concept, task, and reference information, and to establish structuring and writing guidelines for each topic type. We would also recommend to introduce standardized information across several product categories. And yeah, this recommendation for the authoring process will make the content better, and it will make the metadata easier to recognize for the artificial intelligence as well.
Yeah, that's always important to have good content to use it in this process. Another key finding from our pilot project was that we probably have to adjust our publication strategy or have to define actually our strategy. We had to determine the appropriate granularity if we want to publish complete information products are only modular information units. But when we publish more modular information, that's really important that we establish a link between this modular information to the specific products, because then we don't have one PDF format or one PDF file. We have several smaller units, and then it's necessary for the user to identify that information is related to that specific products, for example, by using the serial number. And of course, also for our team, it is a little bit a different approach to this content. Currently, we are still in a document-centric approach, and then if we want to transfer this to a smaller or more modular information units, that's also for us a process we have to develop, get used to this new approach. But we also found that it makes sense to maintain the document context and the structure that's already there, because in our CCMS we have a structure for this information. We have the typical table of content, and this information could be also used within modular content using directory nodes. We could and the user in the end can decide if you want to use this more traditional context, document-oriented approach or structure, or if he or she wants to search for the content in the delivery portal. So to sum it up, it's just we have to define the publication strategy, or have to think about how we want to publish our content. The next finding was that, of course, this assignment process or this assignment of this metadata depends on the CDP, because several content delivery portals handle this metadata differently. Maybe they are CDP provider specific requirements, but in general, iiRDS is a good starting point because in this context of technical communication, there is a lot of standardized metadata, and it's can be used for different CDPs. And something we also didn't finish in this pilot project was to transfer the assigned iiRDS metadata back to our CCMS. That was due to the missing interface between plusmeta and SD4. But I think in the future it makes a lot of sense to to transfer this information back to the CCMS, because it's also for us as technical writers useful to identify content and find it in the CCMS. So in general, this metadata assignment process we can finalize when we decide on a content delivery portal, and yes, that was also one key finding.
Okay, then let's continue with some utilization of the results. So Knick set the basis for future requirements by introducing iiRDS to their content. And one option is to optimize chatbots with iiRDS metadata. So if you want to chat with your content and make sure that the information you get back is correct and specific to your company's products, then it's good to use a specific approach that focus on a specific company data source. And this data source works very well and performs very good if in the data source you have classified information, and the classification system that works very well here is iiRDS. I can show you in a quick demo. Just a second. Change to plusmeta again. So there we have something like a test for a chatbot that you could use in a content delivery portal as well. So here we do it for the content that is in plusmeta, and yeah, there's already something there, but let's type in the question again. So for example, if I want to know what I should consider when I transport the product, then I can ask this question to my content, and in the answer there only will be what will taken into account to build the answer is only the content that is in plusmeta here, so it's correct and we can identify where the content comes from. So, and why is iiRDS a good thing here? Because if we check what was considered from the question, you see there was metadata taken into account, and this is iiRDS metadata. So the system recognized that within this question, it's about the transport of a specific product, and this is a device, and we need information like transport instructions to get back. And yeah, there are similar products that have several information as well. And in the answer you see here, when transporting the device, you should consider the following: a temperature, weight, and a protection. And specific for this approach is that you can check where the information comes from. So here we see it's a specific content file, and the metadata was taken into account, and this is iiRDS-based metadata. So for example, here we have the product lifecycle phase transport, we have the product variant, we have the component device and the organization and so on. Yeah, and we can filter the information, yeah, and see where it comes from. It's different if you use a usual large language model like ChatGPT, then it's not possible to see where the information comes from or what the source of the information is. So here you see it's good to introduce iiRDS if you want to optimize chatbots. Another example for the utilization of the results is the administration shell. Maybe not everyone knows the concept in detail, so I will quickly introduce. So the idea of the administration shell is that you have for each physical asset, there you have a digital twin for it, which is called the Asset Administration Shell. So for example, if you have a device or a product, and you have a digital representation for it as well. And this administration shell has several sub-models, and each sub-model has a specific view on the product or the asset. So for example, there is a sub-model technical data, which contains the properties of the product. And from our field, the technical communication, there are two different sub-models. One is the handover documentation sub-model, which focus on the handover part, so the delivery of document-based information. And there is another sub-model to transport intelligent information in a modular way. And with iiRDS, we have a good basis here, because we can provide all the three sub-models. And yeah, I will show you this as well. So in plusmeta, you can create those sub-models very easy using a workflow. I'll give it a name, and I start the workflow. I can drag and drop information inside. Now I use document-based information, and first, because I'd like to produce a handover documentation submodel, and yeah, it needs PDFs as content. So I uploaded it. Then we have the extraction of metadata again, because the handover documentation submodel requires some specific metadata. And if we check which metadata was assigned, then we see we have things like the document type, the document category, the product variant, the organization, and so on. There is another document, which is the CE Declaration of Conformity in 3 different languages. And yeah, we can identify specific information from the document as well. So for example, there's a specific document number inside, can be extracted. And then here we have another document, which is the specification. And in this specification, there is a lot of product data, and this product data can be extracted as well. So for example, here we have the ambient temperature, the transport temperature, and the weight. There is a lot of other technical data inside, but yeah, just these 3 we configured as a short example. Okay, and now if we want to create an asset administration shell from this content, then we need to give a specific identifier, which can be a serial number. So we type in here a Knick serial number, and then we can generate a digital twin for this serial number. Now then, here we have this digital twin, and you see there is no picture at the moment. We can upload this very easily by dragging and drop a picture inside, so we see how the product looks like. Again. So okay, then I'll change to the digital twin again. And as you see, for a digital twin, there is a lot of required information if we want to build a technical data submodel. We can extract those information from the documents if they are inside the documents. In this case, they are not in the document, but we have a CSV file from an ERP system where the information is comes from, or in this case, it's an Excel file. And so we can import this information about the digital twin. So we have this specific information for this specific product, like the product class ID, the manufacturer's product designation, the order code, article number, and so on. And then the process is like we've seen before. We can check and approve the data and then go to the last step. And now the last step here is to generate an AASX file. And we can download this. There's a zip file around it to extract. And then I can show you the result. So here we have this ASX file, and there is a tool from IDTA that is able to display asset administration shells. And you see here we have this asset, our serial number, and 3 different submodels, the technical data submodel, where we have, for example, product classification, technical properties, and further information. And we have the handover documentation, where the documents are inside, and the intelligent information for use as well. There we have only the document-oriented information, but we can produce such ASX file for modular information as well. Okay, I think as we are running out of time, we should go back and continue with the outlook and the conclusion.
Yeah, I think that was a very good example. Once you have this metadata assigned, you can use it for different applications and also for different things that were not really in our objective, but today we can use this. So it's very, very useful. Yes, I think through the outlook, we will just skip these 2 slides because it's very Knick specific. Currently, we are still in a phase of internal discussions, how to proceed with our iiRDS project, and in general with our digitalization. By the end of the year, we will finish these discussions, and then next year we will hopefully implement iiRDS and proceed with our digitalization projects. So I think if you can just skip these 2 slides and go to the wrap up. In general, there are some challenges during there were some challenges during our project. And especially because we are a small company and we have limited resources. And that's really important to deeply understand the requirements of the company, the needs and capabilities, and also to discuss these things internally with all the stakeholders. But also something we found out, and this, especially in the last year, that there's an increased demand for this enriched information from our customers both internal and external. Our external customers, for example, want asset administration shells or VDI 2770 compliant documentation, and that's really something that we need to address, and we need solutions for this demands. What's also a challenge is to integrate iiRDS into a company-wide strategy, metadata strategy, because there are different departments and different requirements also for metadata. But I think it's very good from the technical documentation side to start with iiRDS, because it's a standard, it's a standardized model, and it's once implemented, it's really easy to map our iiRDS metadata or our content with other systems and other standards. And I think also the technical documentation department can start with something, and then you can use this data or this content later. Yeah, as always, there are some things that are unpredictable, and it's really important to be flexible and to change also requirements and also objectives of such a project. For example, we had internal organizational changes, and that also changes, of course, our project. And as I already said, it's really important to convince decision makers and the management what iiRDS is. And what we found out what a really good approach is to prepare content or data with company data, and then develop relevant use cases. Our approach was to show, to use this iiRDS package and show it in a content delivery portal. We didn't finish it yet, but I think that's a very nice use case also for the management to see the benefits of iiRDS. So in general, to sum it up, I think this project was really useful for our company and for our team. It initiates internal discussions and sparks also new projects and initiatives, because once you start with these topics, I mean, and currently with the AI hype, there's a lot of demand for good content and good information to use in several different applications. And for us, for me in special case, it provides really valuable insights for our digitalization strategy, and also can act as a catalyst for further development and innovation inside the company, because, as I said, this theme of digitalization is right now really important for companies and also for smaller companies. That's the thing. Yes, and I think that was the last slide. We have 3 minutes for questions. It's a little bit was a little bit longer as planned. If there are any questions, we're happy to answer. Of course, you can also get in touch with us afterwards, write us an email or contact us on LinkedIn, and then we can exchange information and answer questions.
All right, thank you very much, Eva and Andreas, for those insights. And yes, before we take too much time away from the questions, because there are loads of questions that came in. Some like more about understanding more of the terminology that you used, and some are more discussion questions. Just for clarification, let me just get some questions across. For example, the first question, I think it was when you were describing the objectives and the scope still, did you try to apply IDTA as a conceptual framework to schema SD4, irrespective of technically using the IDTA code?
Yes, when we introduced our content CCMS, I think 5 years ago, of course, we already had a look at these things. But as Eva said, we not fully implemented IDTA into our CCMS. We have something topic orientated, and we also have this information types in SD4. There are different nodes for different content, for example, a task or descriptive information. That's something we already do, but it's not 100% IDTA. And that was also one of the recommendations from this project, that we implement something like IDTA to make our content really topic oriented and more useful for example, plusmeta to assign or to identify the content of this piece of information and automatically assign this metadata. That's something we will have to do in the future.
Okay. And when you mentioned when you said to deliver verifiable products, that's referring to make sure that it has a date and cannot be modified afterwards, or what is that referring to?
Yeah, one thing is that first thing is that the customer can identify that this information is related to a specific product with a serial number. And also from our side, content delivery portals have, or some portals have the functionality to also approve that this content was delivered. And then, for example, if information changes, that it's much easier to also contact our customers or internal users, that there's new data available, and also from our side that we can identify or see that this content was used and delivered to internally or external customers. With the Asset Administration Shell, there is a way to see this delivery of these packages, but for our content and for CDP, that's something we want, because if we don't provide our product information in printed format within the package of the product, we need a reliable and verifiable way to deliver this necessary product information to our customers.
Okay. And there's another question. What new formats you expect to deliver from your CDP?
As Eva already mentioned, HTML, of course, will be the most used, but I think there are no limits in general in iiRDS, and also that depends a little bit on the technical capabilities of the portal. Of course, PDF will always be, I think, will always be a part. There will always documents in the PDF format. But as I already said earlier, currently we can't deliver, for example, video, or we have some nice 3D animations from our CAD system. And that would be also something we would like to give to our customers or users. And also in the future, maybe an electronic spare parts catalog, something like that. There are a lot of ideas and a lot of possibilities, but I think we will start with HTML and PDF.
Okay. We also have another question regarding the, that's more for Eva now, I suppose, how you manage different versions of the same content.
Yeah, if we got different versions from the SD4 CCMS, for example, we can put them to, or we identify that they are versions of each other, and we can link them to each other, and the metadata then can be referred if the content didn't change in a way that the metadata has to be changed as well.
Okay. And
I think that's just one quick, because that's what's still missing, because once the iiRDS metadata is assigned to the content and we play it back into our CCMS, for the next version, this metadata is still available. So it's actually maybe not even possible, necessary to assign it again, because it's still valid, most of the metadata.
Okay. And another question maybe for Eva more is, did you test a retrieval augmented generation systems that you showed, and what's the hallucination rate?
In this project, we used the rule-based assignment and the extractors as well as the mappings, and with these methods we don't have the problem of hallucination, as sometimes the basis data from SD4 was a bit difficult. We had the human-in-the-loop approach, and some corrections were done by the human-in-the-loop, and the rate we've seen before on our results page, maybe I can go back there. So there we had 80% of user interaction was necessary, and we think we can reduce the range to 8%. Yeah, and for the assignment of the metadata, we haven't used any large language model. method here in this project, it is possible, but in this case we were very fine with the results of the rule-based assignment and the method that we used, so we didn't have a problem with the hallucinations in this project.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Eva. Thank you both. I think we are already running over time. We still have a couple of questions, but we might get back to you on those then afterwards. Or as Andreas and Eva already shown your contact details, so maybe you want to follow up with them if there is any further clarification needed. So thanks again for both of you, Andreas, Eva, for those insights. And thank you, participants, for attending and for your questions. And I hope you have a lovely afternoon.
Okay, goodbye.
Bye.
Ciao.